In today's video, we're going to be mounting the MSD10 Plus, the Holley Dominator EFI, and also the remote thermostat housing. Stay tuned, you're not going to want to miss it. Alright, so in the truck here, we're actually going to be running an MSD10 Plus ignition box. This is what we used on the dyno, along with the matching MSD10 Plus ignition coil. So we're going to go ahead, I'd like to get both these mounted inside the cab. Ignition coil, I did already pre-drill it. I just want to verify that it's going to look good inside the cab up here and be functional. That'll keep us close to the distributor. And then we need to figure out something with the MSD10 Plus box, along with the Holley Dominator we're using to control the ignition and fuel and everything for the truck. I'd like to maybe, I don't know, maybe do something with the glove box possibly. There isn't one in there, so maybe we could sheet it and mount the stuff inside there. So let's move inside and start with the coil. All right, so there we go. You can get a better shot of it there, mounted up. So the only thing we have to do for the ignition coil is run a, I don't know which one's which, I can't really see. Okay, positive and negative wire, and that comes from our Holley Dominator harness, and then obviously our ignition wire to the distributor there. Okay, so now for the Dominator and the MSD10 Plus box, I've got the door box right here. Just thinking about maybe making a tray inside of here. That MSD10 Plus is kind of tall, so I believe what I might have to do is maybe inside here make the floor of it actually drop down and maybe bring it down. Again, not trying to lose footwell space, but drop it down a ways and then match up the profile of this firewall. Sorry, it's dark in here, but I could easily probably do that better on the outside of the firewall, trace that contour, maybe cut it out with something, then I could have somebody maybe laser cut out a piece and just attach it inside of this bottom lip and then down and forward. So I could always stitch it to the firewall or put a lip on there and rivet it to it, but let's see if we can match something up to that profile here and make something work. All right, well, we're gonna do a change of plans on that, because this angle that comes out here and then straight, this firewall is actually bumped out, and I don't feel like trying to flatten everything out. So I'll just get one of those gauges that you push up against and follows the contour, and again, we'll bring it over to somewhere inside of here at this, I don't know, maybe this edge where it rolls back around or around the corner, doesn't make a difference. Now let's go ahead and actually work our way forward here and start putting in some of our cooling fittings. We've got these, I believe they're 1/2-inch pipe to AN for both the intake. We got some 90s that come over, and we need to figure out where we need to mount the remote thermostat housing. So let's go ahead and get those in, grab the remote thermostat housing, and see if there's some kind of bracket or something we can make off of here.
Bye. And let me sing. And do not legends never die.
Okay guys, so for the bracket for the thermostat housing, what I started with was I held a piece of paper up here, made sure it was 90 degrees. So when I traced that, I knew based on the edge of the paper that this would be flat up here. Kind of bolted it up here, traced the outside, kind of just made my own little design here. So that's what I traced onto cardboard, and after I traced that, I needed a platform up here. So I came up with this. There's no point in having extra material here, so I'm going to use 11 gauge or 1/8 inch. So I'll keep this at the 11 gauge 1/8 inch thickness and set this up here and just weld that off of there, or maybe put it in the press, make it one piece like this and put a bend line in it. It would be a lot easier, but I don't know if I have a press brake available to me. So we went ahead and got the fuel pressure regulator mounted up on the firewall here. Had to drill 2 holes in the backside. It was threaded into the aluminum block here. So this is going to be returned back from our rail. I would make a line up here, but I'm not sure about this fitting because we also got to put that 4-inch spacer in there. And I'm not sure if a 45 would obviously look a little better sweeping out and down. This will go back to the tank. This one will need capped off. All right, so hopefully this shows up well for you guys. What I did was went ahead and cut those cardboard templates. I didn't show this one for the glove box, but I used a contour gauge, a 6-inch long contour gauge, and I took that, bumped it up against the firewall in several places, made some marks on the outside, and then I cut that out of cardboard. I took the picture, scanned it into the computer, and actually put that on there, and then I didn't have enough cardboard, so I said to add 3 inches to this dimension here, and the scanner wasn't big enough, so I cut it in half, and that's what I ended up with. So I just marked all my lines down to follow the contour of the inside of the firewall here for that glove box lower base, and then it's 10.5 inches deep from the front to the back edge. And this piece here will actually be the filler that will stand upright on this edge here. So that's that one. And then also we have the thermostat bracket here, which I did the same thing. I just have the image suppressed, but basically just copied it over. I'm sure there's a much better way to do this, or cleaner way, but you know what, it gets the job done. So now we need to head on down and have these cut out.
Begin laser ignition sequence.
All right, and here's a look at the parts after they come out of the laser. So that's our bracket for the thermostat, along with this. And then we have the 2 glove box pieces, the upright for the front and the actual dash pad. So there we go. Let's head back to the shop and see how they fit. So we went ahead and got the bracket welded up here on the bottom side all across here, and had to actually open the holes up a little bit for these bolts here. Might have been just slightly off on the template, but that's all right. So let's go ahead and mount this to these brackets here, just to give you an idea what it's going to be like. So it's just 2 bolts on the bottom side. Won't tighten those up, but that'll give you an idea there. And then we got our short hose here that I threw together quick. And I only did the passenger side, but that will go from there to there. So now we have our first connection from the passenger side of the intake onto the front of this housing. And then on the back side here, we will use this second hole to go over to the driver's side here on the intake. And this intake on the blower manifold is actually recessed back on this side, so that's why I'm using that for the back port on here. So when I run the hose, I can actually come out and down and underneath of this and then back up. I'll just leave a little extra hose in there. So now that is mounted, and we can point this wherever, block this port off here, and that looks all right. We'll take that. So let's move on to the next thing. Let's go ahead and see how this fits up here. So it's gonna be somewhere around there. We got a gap there, but otherwise the rest of that I'll take. We're inside the truck now. We're gonna go ahead and work on the glove box base plate. Yeah, I went ahead and welded this up at a pretty much 90-degree angle there. So what we're gonna do is place this up underneath of the dash here, and then I'll put a level on that, and then Morgan, if you can show inside here, we're going to take our MSD 10 Plus, if I can hold all this, and we will mount that up there like that. Gone ahead here and actually got all the holes drilled, as you've seen in the last clip there. Went ahead and cleaned off the burrs. went ahead and put the rubber isolators back on the MSD 10 Plus. So now we can go ahead, line these up. Just like that. So this is our front side, our kick down off of the glove box, so we can get access to all of this. Again, there's nothing on this back side of the 10 Plus that we need access to. So this MSD 10 Plus is actually pretty old. They don't even make it anymore, but we did run it on the dyno. We know everything's good to go. So until we have an issue, this is what we're gonna go with. Let's go ahead and put the lock washers and nuts on, and then I also went ahead and grabbed the Dominator that we can mark the bolt pattern for this on the underside, which will be underneath somewhere in this vicinity where it fits, enough room to leave. Oh, I take that back, sorry, it'll be this way. So the thinnest part will be at the front of the glove box area, and then that'll leave area up here for the wires to plug in and be able to twist down. And then we'll go ahead and get that. I will have to get some isolators like what we have under the MSD 10 here to bump this, because with the studs sticking through on the bottom of the MSD 10, I'm going to need about that same distance. If this is 3/4 of an inch, I'm going to need about that same standoff on this bottom side for this MSD box to sit down here. So let's go ahead and put the nuts on and make sure everything looks good there, and we'll drill holes for the MSD or the Holley Dominator. All right, so I went ahead and drilled the 4 holes for the Holley Dominator on the bottom side, mounted back on the MSD 10 Plus. I only put 2 nuts on both sides here, 1 on each side of the Dominator, and I do not have the isolators like MSD 10, but I used a nut there to space those out. So as you can see, there is the Dominator mounted on the bottom side, so this will go in the glove box just like so. And all of our connections will face forward out of the Dominator, and all of our connections, a little heavy thing, on the MSD 10 Plus will be towards us. So now we can go ahead and get this put in the truck. We'll take all this stuff off and actually get it tacked to the firewall. Got this all tacked in there. It's a little kitty wampus in my opinion, but it matches the contour of the firewall. It is a little uneven here, a little further in on this side, but that's it. We're going with it. So we'll go ahead and finish getting this tacked in. We need to get the isolators for the Dominator, and then we can get all that bolted in there. That's going to be it for this video, guys. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and we really appreciate it. We're going to keep plugging away at this truck so we can work at getting it done. We'd like to hit a Cleetus and Cars event here for 2021. We got a lot on our hands to get that done, but we'll go ahead and continue forward and see what we can make happen.
Don't forget to turn on the notifications.
Turn on the notifications.